Okay, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker this morning, filmmaker Sophia Joanes. Make her refresh. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you all hear me? Yes? Can you hear me? Did you guys have a really good time last night? Yes. I missed all the good fun. I was in bed with my little girl. It's fine. That's fun for me, so I'm good with it. Anyways, it's such a pleasure to be here at Provender. I really feel like I'm home. It's wonderful to be speaking at an event where I feel like I wish every single one of you could be up here teaching me about what you're doing and what you're thinking about the world. Is it echoing? No, we're good. Anyway, so today I want to talk to you about the title is called "Taking Our Places to Sustainability as a Metaphor for Our Lives." And I'll start with a little story about when I was on Joel Salatin's farm. Were you all guys here on Wednesday for the movie? You saw the movie, so you know Joel Salatin. You probably knew Joel Salatin before that. But so 6 years ago or so, I was on Joel Salatin's farm. And I had a little break in the morning. We had been shooting since really early morning, and then he was doing a radio interview, and I had my camera woman all set up, so she was going to record the radio interview, which you actually see in the movie. And I decided I was going to, get out and work a little bit, do a little chores. And I got to the field, and they set me up with buckets of water going up and down this hill. Actually, can you... Here we go. So I was going up and down the hill like he's doing with these big buckets of water to bring water to the chicken. And it was a really hot July day, and the chicken were really excited to see me coming with the water. And I wasn't expecting that, right? I was just thinking a little bit of physical exercise, like I've been up really early, shooting for a while, driving, nothing physical at all in my life. So I was like, oh, this is great. But then I get there, and the chickens are just so excited. And I feel this wave of just satisfaction. I felt so good. And it really took me by surprise. I was like, what is this? This. I just felt like this is the most meaningful thing I've done in a long time, bringing the water to the chicken. And it kind of made me feel bad, because here I am. I've been working on Fresh for a couple years by then. And, I know I'm not going to bring water to chicken in my life. That's just not my work. And yet it's the most satisfying thing I've done in a long time. And, the work of a filmmaker is quite isolated. You spend a lot of time on your own, and you have no idea. I was really overtaken by doubt a lot. I didn't know what I was getting, out of this footage. I was enjoying the process, but I didn't know if I was getting any good footage, if I was going to be able to turn it into a movie. I didn't know if my movie was ever going to be seen. Most independent films don't find their audience ever. It's really, really hard. So is it really a worthwhile way to spend my energy, my money? Because it's an incredible task. So, I was, I was so full of doubt. And in New York City, where I live, I live in this incredible disconnected world, which I think most of us in the U.S. live in. At night, I have no stars. I have no sense of awe that I'm part of something much bigger than myself. When I go to the grocery store, there's always food, but I have no sense where it comes from. When I flush the toilet or throw some things away, I have no sense that what the impact of that is. There's no link between my action and the consequences. So there's really, I feel to me that every new convenience kind of distance me from myself and from any sense of meaning, any sense of consequences. And I realized that really kind of, really in my gut when I was, carrying this bucket, and I, this chicken needed me, so much. And I think that what I realized is that this yearning that I felt, this yearning for meaningfulness, for connection, is really what started me on the journey to make Fresh. And what I want to talk about tonight, or today, this morning, yesterday, what I wanted to talk to you about was that the sustainable agriculture is really a great metaphor for the journey that we need to take in our life to take our place. Like I said, I'm not going to be a farmer. So how do I get to feel meaningfulness, connection? I'm thinking, oh, it's my daughter who's not. And And it's not only a great metaphor for the kind of shift of perspective that we need to have, but it's also a great blueprint for the process that we need to undertake in order to take our place. Because this is really what I felt when I was on Joel Salatin's farm, that he took his place, and I could see the meaning in everything that he was doing, and I wanted to feel that in my life again. So I think that this is what I'd like to explore with you today. And here is Joel Salatin and Will Allen that I'm going to use to discuss this. All right, so we'll stay on this one for a second. I think that in order for us to start this journey, to shift our perspective, we must come to see that our personal journey is not separate from the journey of the earth. And what do I mean by that? It's one of the biggest lessons I think I've learned making Fresh. We're facing incredible challenges today, multiple crises, and we all know that. And those crises are not only crises, they're also opportunities. And not just opportunities to heal the world or change the world potentially, but there are really great opportunities for us to live more fully and fuller and happier lives. But on the other side, our personal crisis, our doubts, our sadness, our challenges are also not just opportunities for us to perhaps change and grow and change ourselves, but there are meaningful opportunities to actually heal the world. And this is really like kind of what my talk today is about. It's this we tend to focus a lot on the bigger picture, right? Like the crisis that we're facing, and how can we make change. And we usually tend to think of our personal journey separately, when I think that it's completely interlinked, and this is what we need to come to realize. And where do we start then? What's the starting point for a journey? Well, it's obvious. It's right here, where we are. We need to take an honest and courageous look at our personal situation and at the situation of the world. For my purpose, with my focus on Fresh, on the food system, I just want to look a little bit at what I think our culture, where our culture is at today. I think that we are, and I think most of you probably agree, that we have this really linear perspective on the world. We extract resources and we dump them. Pick up that cup of coffee in the morning and you just throw it away. You need a new television, you want to buy a new flat screen TV and you just throw it away. Most of our industries just extract resources and then just waste away. And it seems like we're just, for a long time it seemed like those resources were inexhaustible. Obviously, we know that's no longer true. But I think that there is just something just deeply there's something really faulty with even the term resources, and that's not just semantic, it's really the crux of the matter. The natural world is not there for us to use, right, like a resource. It's really, we're part of the natural world. So the very way of considering ourselves separate from nature, this dualism where we see ourselves separately and we consider nature as a resource, that's where that's really where change needs. This is where the shift needs to happen. So it's not just how can we use resources more carefully, how can we switch to more sustainable resources. This is still the same mindset. So I'm going to go through a few images that you guys know about. And I'm going to show you these things because I feel that we're bombarded with negative information all the time, news that are really painful to watch. And I just want to show a few things, share with you a few things, not only because I think that there are consequences of our understanding of nature as a resource, but also very much because I want to discuss the emotion that arises when we hear about these things. So this is the Deepwater Horizon well. Who hasn't heard at this point globally about this catastrophe? I think that what's interesting is that this well was dug 18,000 feet underneath the water, and that this is the equivalent to Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, which is 19,000 feet. So we had to dig really deep to find this oil. And I think that what it tells you is that we've already, we've run out of easily accessible oil. So we might not have reached peak oil, but we've definitely reached the age of tough oil. It was a term that was coined by a professor, and I don't remember his name. And so, again, in this mindset of like, we just keep searching harder for resources. We know the consequences of that. So this is the Alberta tar sand. Again, another example of the age of tough oil. We don't have liquid oil very accessible anymore, so we go to Canada and we completely destroy whole areas in order to get access to this kind of coal-like oil that then takes a lot of energy to transform into liquid oil. And this is the #1 import this year of oil in this country, #1. Next, please. And I'm sure all of you are aware of this coal mining way of this coal mining technique, mountaintop removal. It's happening a lot in the southeast of the U.S. It's basically for private. These private companies are buying land and exploding the whole top of a mountain. So you can imagine, obviously, the consequence on biodiversity, on landscape, on community. Next, please. But if you really want to know the impact, maybe you want to ask Ryan Massey's family near Charleston, West Virginia. The water is so incredibly polluted with hard metals and other pollutant byproduct of the coal industry that literally his teeth are rotting in his mouth, and he can't take a bath in this water. So people are getting incredibly sick. So, for me, it's really hard to see these images. Every time I basically read an article or I turn on the television, I feel almost instantly overwhelmed. I feel guilty because, after all, it's not only for the private benefit of this, coal company that we're removing all mountaintop, but it's certainly for my lifestyle, so that I can continue to live the way I do. And I'm conflicted about that because I like my life. I kind of want to continue the way I am. So I feel conflicted, I feel guilty, but I'm also feeling increasingly scared. Maybe some of you can relate to this. I think that for a long time, you would watch images of environmental destruction. Again, that duality comes into place, and you thought, yeah, that's really sad. But let me not think about it, because it's happening to someone else, somewhere else. Okay, the panda bear are disappearing. Oh, that's such a shame. Anyways, back to, my life. Somebody is really affected by environmental destruction, their life is really tough, and it's sad, maybe I send a little bit of money, but it's not my life. And there was not this sense that, everything that was happening was really going to affect me. I mean, even if you knew someone in the back of your mind, there was still an ability to think, someone else, somewhere else is being affected by this. But we're getting more and more information that this is not the case. Obviously, global warming comes to mind. It's hard to ignore the fact that we're all going to be affected by that, or we are all affected already. But go ahead and show the next picture. This came from, the first picture, the little boy's picture, came from a New York Times series about the state of our water. Did anyone read that in the New York Times about our water? It's really a fascinating series. It was several articles. And it showed that 1 in 10 American is exposed to contaminated water. 1 in 10. That's a lot of us. And there's almost no states that's spared water contamination. The #1 contamination is agriculture, feedlots running, being